Hello guys, it's me, Aradha Gopal Nepal, and this is the second nicely explained video of integrating Khalti and Esewa in Flutter and .NET. So in this video, at first I'm going to give just a short introduction of what we have done till now. After that, I will go through the setup of the Flutter of Esewa Khalti, the folder structure, the state management, and lots of things. So let's get started. So let's first open Visual Studio to see what we have done till now. In previous video, I have created an model which have an status type either initial or completed. I mean either the payment is initiated, user has pressed confirm and do payment button, or they have done the payment, all the verification is successful and the payment is completed. So there are two payment type, Esewa or Khalti. So this is the transaction status. This table is used to track the status of the transaction. So sometimes what happens is user do the transaction from the mobile. You know, let's say in Esewa their amount is deducted. They have done the transaction. Now we have to verify the transaction in our database. Let me show you some diagrams. So there are three steps, okay? So user have done the transaction, now they have to hit this API verify transaction. But what happened is from Esewa the transaction was successful. The amount was deducted and the transaction details is saved in the Esewa database. But now we also need to save the details on our own database. In that in during that time our backend was down, and just after the transaction for Esewa was successful, the mobile doesn't get a chance to hit the verified transaction API, so there is no data of transaction being successful in our database. In that case, the customer who have paid will complain the customer support, and we as a developer must be able to track the status of that transaction. So for that I have created an ID. This is a unique transaction ID. Which product? This is a foreign key. This is for mapping this foreign key. This is the status, initiated at, completed at, payment type. So these are things you easily understand. And what I've done is I've created two separate column, verification log and confirmation log. Verification log stores what verification details the mobile sends us after Esewa transaction is successful, and it will store that JSON in the serialized string. And confirmation is if Esewa sends us confirmation response, it will be stored here. I don't know whether this is a good way to store these logs, but one thing I know is I should have used MongoDB to store this kind of log. I don't think storing in string is a good thing, but for this project I am doing this. So this was the new database I've created. The second thing is in controller I've created a basic controller. So product ID, product type are two things we put on the request, and we first do some validation. We find the product. If there is no product, we will send. Then we will create new transaction, save into database, and return the transaction ID to the. So let me just run. Okay, it might run out of your head. So no, 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 no. Sorry guys, I was confused which Chrome user will open it. Open correct Chrome user. So previously we have created this API, get payment details and keys, the API one, no, and then We will also integrating this API. It will send this data. This is encrypted in base RSA using chunking. This is encrypted using hybrid encryption. And we also got initiate transaction API, product ID. 0 means Esewa, 1 means Khalti. I will do proper documentation in future, and it will initiate the transaction. Okay. So these are all of the things we have done on the backend side. So that's all from backend. Let's begin about the Flutter integration. Hello guys, so we are about to begin Flutter integration. Before, let's save these flexors because my laptop I don't think can handle both Visual Studio when Android Studio is opened, and I cannot find a way to import from here. It was causing problem previously. So for now we are not doing any error handling input Flutter and Esewa. In next video we will do that too. So I am confused how we can copy this URL. So let's close Visual Studio. I don't want my laptop to be fan dead. Okay, let's start our Flutter part. Okay, before starting Flutter part, I will make sure that my commits are well done. I will frequently do commit because I want to increase my greenness. So guys, let's start our Flutter project. So guys, this is a basic Flutter project, and at first we will do the folder setup of this Flutter and import the necessary package. So this is basically add counter. There's nothing done here. So let's remove this. Remove this. Okay. So which folder structure I like is there is common, there is futures. I like future based folder structuring. It doesn't matter which folder structure you follow. You know the MBBM. There are lots of folders. But the one thing you should know is you should separate repository, controller, and UI. So for now there is only one. Okay, payment future. Script repository, controller, repository controller, view. There is no name for my folder structure, it's just my experience. I create model a separate folder, but there is a recommendation that we should put model in repository. But sometimes my model also represent view model. I do not separate views model and repository model. I put same folder. I don't know it's bad, but that's what I do. And sometimes I also create utils. So this is my folder structuring, and the same thing also goes here. Common. Instead of view, it's widget. So this is my, and I put constants. Let's create a placeholder. Oh guys, okay, let's create a file. Placeholder, control P. Okay, I hate these. Okay, I think I should go here. Open in Explorer. Hello. Yes. Wait. So I will be pasting this in here. What is happening, guys? Control V, Control P. There. Common, I've pasted here. I don't know. This is also not. So this is the basic folder structure which I generally follow, and let's make an payment, and there is a splash screen. Go, Baba. Okay, okay. So guys, we will be making a splash placeholder. So sorry for the disturbance. Splash screen. And for this video, we will be loading all of the details on the splash screen. And once the details are loaded, then only we go into Khalti Esewa. Also, in this video, I will not be using any routing. I will just do basic. So these are the basic folder setup which I generally follow. Git add, git commit, setting of folder structure. So in state now the second thing comes is state management. I don't like this kind of, so I always remove those. So in state management, I always use Riverpod, Flutter. So this is Riverpod for Dart, and we have to use this Riverpod for Flutter. So, in Riverpod, I generally use state notifier, but in order to use state notifier, we have to create states. And in basic API call, it could be little bit redundant to again and again create success state loading error. Same with block. So I have a package, generic state by I have specific lots of package published there. So this is one of my package, and it have all of the generic state. So whichever project I am working, I will just put this package on here. And I also have, so in this app we have to deal with API calls. So and I use do for API call, and always when we use do we make a do client. And some of we do a generic do client on our project to make the do dealing easier. I've also created an repository by A2, so it's also a marketing video of my packages. So it's a high level implementation for API calling based on DO. So since this package was published today, just published today, the package does not have any documentation. I will upload this documentation in upcoming days. So in this video, I've done these setup basics. So the setup is completed. Okay, now let's create a repository. Payment repository. So for now, oh, what the heck I've done? Payment repository. So for now, I will be putting all Esewa, Khalti, everything just this repository, or I will not be putting. I will just do one thing now, and in future I might refactor if I think the code is getting very messy. So I will create a base repository, and this is how you use that repository. You just extend the base repository. So let's say this repository needs token, then we have to do nothing. Just we have to do some setup here. Okay, let's come here. Utils do do and generic state setup. So there is something. So this is I'm what I'm doing. I'm creating a top layer method. I'm not creating a separate class for this method. Some of you might say this is a bad practice, but I disagree. You know. So there is no need to create a separate class to do this. You can just functional programming. You can just use function. Means creating class then create a member are not always a good thing in a situation like this. So what I'm doing is base repository dot setup dot init. So in my package we have to do some setup where we have to put no error on mobile. So error on back. In future video I will explain this in better. Token. So what this is, let's say from backend there is a status code 500. We have to display something like something went wrong, please try again later. And there could be second scenario that backend had changed their status, changed their response format due to which the app model passing from JSON is crashing. In that case, my for example void get payment details. In my API there is my API works like this. Let's say it returns a string, return get method comes from this base repository, and we have to pass repository input. And let's say this is the URL I will update later, and this is the pass JSON. So this is the response which comes from the backend, and we have to do some parsing here. Response and payment details. So let's say previously this was the response. It's delete. Let's say previously this was the response, but backend changed it to something like this data. In this case, if you use my package, it will not show the message, string is not subtype of null. Those kind of messages are unnecessary for the user. Instead, it will show this message. So that's one of the good thing about my, my base repository. This message will be shown on if something wrong with mobile. If the status code 500, then this message will be shown. So this is how we get token. By default, all of the base repository have the token, but if we do something like this, then this repository does not require token. Again, by default it is like this. Okay, we don't have to do this. But if you do this, it doesn't require token. uh Annoying, annoying, I don't know. So this is, and while doing I'm doing setup, I do not do try catch on repository. I do try catch on the controller, because I believe that doing try catch in repository is like useless, whatever. Let me show you. No, payment controller. Let's say there is a payment notifier, extend state notify, and since I'm using generic state, I will do something like this: generic state, and the data. This is the data. Data will be on string format, and we have to do like, so guys, so this is the notifier, and what I will do is get. So for now, I'm just showing a demo how I do basic project setup. Details, try, state is equal to loading state. So this is my package catch e comma s, state is equal to error state e comma s. So it will also log the error itself, and for your sick and final. So generally what I do it is I create a separate controller as payment repo controller, and final payment repo modifier provider is equal to provider payment repository. So by doing this, if I have to do testing in future, I can easily mock this repository. And another thing is I do not like those, make payment repository and then make, payment repository implementation, make it abstract class. I just hate those kind of repository pattern, because I think the return on investment doing this thing is useless. So why we use repository pattern is that we can easily test. But if you do like this, we can easily mock the repository and easily test, because in test we are not allowed to call actual API. We are allowed to pass a mock JSON data. So final repo is equal to my app dot. So okay, so there are two things. So in this place we need ref. In order to ref, either we have to make here like widget ref. But I don't know, if I find it boring to pass ref on every constructor, every parameter. So what I do is I go here. One thing I forgot previously was provider scope, and I make here like final static final, no, global ref. So this is also a trick which I think most people don't know who is a provider, that we can create like this global ref parent dot global ref, and in any place we can just call ref dot myf dot global ref dot read payment review, and from here we can call get payment details. Final details is equal to await this. So and we can do state is equal to success state details. So in this way we can do setup of controller using my folder structuring. And one thing to note is, if anything error happens in this get API, it will throw an custom API exception. And so sometimes you might need to check if custom API exception. So, what it did. sometimes we might need to check that e dot status code is equal to for in this case we can use custom API exception, but the most of time this thing is done on interceptor, so that's not necessary here. But so again, as I've said, I never do try catch on repository. Some people might say it is bad who follow no Rezo coders repository pattern, but I hate when someone do try catch here. Try catch, and what they do is rethrow. So I hate when someone do something like this in the code. They do like this. It have no meaning. So do not try catch. And one of the reason they do is that, so this is one of the better thing, that this throw custom exception here. Custom exception who they created here. So they do this for try catch, but rethrowing is completely useless. But since I've used my generic base repository, I do not have to create a custom exception. It automatically throw the custom exception here. Okay, doing repo and controller setup. So this is the basic, this is the basic setup which I do. And finally, final payment provider is equal to state notify provider payment notifier initial state this. And always I play type safe. Regarding type safe, I will be explain one thing. The first thing I'm gonna say is always put type here. It will make your front end tasks easier. The second thing I want to say that whenever you are starting development, first start with model, then go to repository, then go to controller. At the end, you will do your tasks on view. I'm not talking about UI slicing. UI slicing is a separate thing. Integration is it's separate thing. When you're doing integration, this is the flow which you do. Model, then repository, then controller, then view. And talking about type safe, so my both package are type safe. You know, let's me give me demo. So this is my package code, and as you see, I've done everything type safe. So every data which you get from here, it's type safe. There is no dynamic data. And for your sake of knowledge, my package also have pagination. It makes pagination so easy you can't even imagine. So I am marketing my package like mad. Regarding this too, so if I return here 5, it will throw an error. The int isn't type of string because this method is 100% type safe. That's why I highly recommend anyone to use my repository. First, because it's type safe. Second, because the parsing does not throw string subtype of null error. Third, there are lots of helper in the code, like in body I can do custom multipart dot pass body file one. I can just simply I can just simply pass the file here. I don't have to worry anything about those multipart kind of thing, which we generally do on passing multipart. My package will handle it itself. In one part I might file another file data string data. So I can pass file. So always do it like this, not if there are more than one string data file name. So name. That's all you got to do. This is file, this is string. My package will handle it itself. It got all of the advanced code. So guys, that's why I use my package. I will modify this package, change image to others type 2, but my package is amazing guys. Use it again, use it. I'm- so this video is generally all about showing how I will do folder structuring. And when it comes to folder structuring, I'm a big fan of Riverport and my two packages. So this video is also a marketing video of my package. What I've done. It showing demo of my base repository. Also, I want to say that this video is also for increasing my GitHub green. So I will also do unnecessary commit because I want to make my GitHub lots of green. Okay, this is the setup. So in this way I do, in this way for any new package I do the folder structuring, the repository setup, the control setup, and every setup. I'm not so this test setup I do, but I really want to show the, and for the sake of knowledge I generally use go route. I'm a big fan of go route, this package for navigation, and for go route I follow typed go route. Okay, so these are basic my folder structuring: go route and typed route, sorry. And constant, obviously I put image assets like this. So in asset there could be three file. First is lang for language, second is fonts for fonts, third is images for image. And one thing I again want to say that I do not, so obviously we have to add it here. I removed all of the code, so I've path I don't know, so it could be wrong, but I'll fix it later. So for sake of knowledge I put both png spg in the same folder. I do not create separate, but in constant I do image constants. What I do is class image constants. So I don't do something like this, is string k profile image is equal to this. I hate these kind of things. What is this? What is this? Is without class we are creating this variable, const variable, and we might access the variable any place on the UI. So instead of this, I create a separate class, and this class contain all of the images. The more project became big, dealing with images became easier if I use class. So in this scenario I think using class is useless, but in this scenario using class for saving lots of images is useful. So let's say static const string Esewa png Khalti. It's also my personal opinion. I believe that using k Esewa ang and k Khalti ang inside this image constant is useless, but again it is my opinion. I am wrong, and some people prefer to type something like this: Esewa png for const, and I also think this is not, I don't do it on Flutter. And I put a base path asset slash images, and for every I put like these as called. I will upload the images now, not later. Now. Khalti, PNG. I don't think this assets folder structure is correct. I generally, copy paste, so I don't remember it perfectly. I don't know it's correct, but git add, git commit. I want to write something, eh? Docs. I will update docs later. I prefer go route and it's typed route for routing. I prefer easy localization for localization, obviously. JSON. Let's make language more language. Let's play with language multi language support. So this is what I do on basic thing I'm telling you guys. And I really hate GetX. I used to love provider, but once you start, so one thing about this state notifier is immutable. Immutable. So, so when we pass, so we don't when you do state is equal to loading state, the UI rebuild. It's like calling set state, and we have to pass completely new object of a class into this state. Like change notifier, we cannot, there's a class ABC extend with change notifier and the value is equal to 5 and void set value in value is equal to value notify listener. So when we do this and when UI rebuild on provider, what happens is that in provider what happens is that this object doesn't get destroyed. On the same object, a specific value gets changed, and that value change is reflected on the UI. But this is called mutable state, and this is called immutable state. Immutable state is completely new object called. And what immutable state is good that it prevent concurrency. See, and there are lots of things I really like. Once you get addicted to the immutable state, you never go back to change notifier. And due to this mutable state, I hate I hate GitX for lots of reasons. Due to this immutable state, I do not prefer GitX. Also due to this immutable state, I stopped using provider. So mostly I follow Repoport, state notifier. I hate future notifier and any other notifier. I always prefer state notifier or for a specific class provider or for some specific value, no state provider. That's what I generally use. Okay. Okay, what else I must say is, and I'm also a big fan of animation by the way. So this is I've done setup of our project. Now we have to put Esewa and Khalti SDK. So let's Google it. Esewa integration. So if you go here and we go into Flutter, you will find this drive. So you can download this folder and put on your desktop somewhere, right? For Khalti, the Flutter. So Flutter have its own, Khalti have its own package published to PubTab. Khalti Flutter. So you can use this. What? So I found one disadvantage in this package that it was showing connect IPS this that tab bar and the bottom color was little bit weird. So what I did was I have gone to the repository, go to lib and modified some of the code which I hated and doesn't like a sim but there. So that's what I've done. So with that, you know, so these are the two code, Esewa Flutter SDK and Khalti Flutter SDK. And this is another code which is used to do RSA encryption and decryption. So the basic code, and in this code here I will be uploading the public and private key here. So I am a type of guy who follow module based development. So when I'm developing any project, I create a separate packages folder. Inside package I set module. If you see the Esewa documentation, what you will found is that I think I have to pause the video because I have to open Chrome. What I found Esewa integration is that, so they are saying to paste this Esewa inside this. So in Esewa they are saying to paste this Esewa inside this Flutter folder, but I hate pasting Esewa package inside the Flutter folder. So what I recommend is that create a separate packages folder. Inside package put Esewa, put Khalti, and put any other you know code. And I highly recommend you to do module based coding. Okay, I think I have to remove this test too because it was from other project. So, so guys, I've removed. So this for the test case. So encryption we need to do lots of testing because it's lots of legacy. So these are the folder structures I follow. Okay, let's unpop it and let's do commit. Folder structure if I have to put any structure external package. Also I follow module based development which I. So this is also a writing message so that you can read while I make this video. I highly recommend to do module based development. So what this module based development do is that let's say it decreases the coupling. So this method encrypt decrypt are pure method. It is not dependent on any of the variables on this lib folder. They are pure method. Another thing is, so one of the things which might not be pure is that I've created environment config in this file and these data are set on here. So if I have to copy paste this code to another project, I have to remove this private and public keys. So due to this, it might not be pure project. I could have, I could just have made a class here, and in input of this constructor, it requires this value which comes from this code. This. So these are a better way to do this. It allows, so what is model based coding is that you create a model and if you have and it reduces the coupling. What it means that coupling is reduced is that you can simply copy this project and paste it in another project and in another project your code will work. So, and that's how you should do the coding. Okay, guys, and always never forget to put internet permission in Android manifest. I don't know code, guys. I don't know code, honestly speaking. How to put internet permission in manifest. So means as a developer, I remember none of the code except Flutter UI, which I generally do. Most of the time, it's all about coding, but copy pasting. As a developer, having the skill of copy pasting is very crucial. So this is the basic setup I've done. Oh, that's all, guys. So this is the basic setup I have done. So I will now end this video with my face. Okay, I think I don't got my mobile, so I cannot show my face to you. Sorry. Where the heck is my mobile? Yeah, I think it's there. So sorry guys. So that's all for this video. I hope you liked it. So in this video, I've done basic. I've explained, just so in previous video, done. I've created payment transaction. In previous video, I've created get transaction ID API. So in this video, since this is nicely explained video, I have explained nicely what I've done in previous video. So you don't have to watch the previous video. And after that, in this video, I've created the Flutter project and done all of the project setup. How the folder structure will look like. And I've also marketed to you my two packages, base repository and GenericState, and I've also encouraged you to do this package model based development. So if there are any UI component from packages which you don't like, then do not use it. At the same time, do not create anything from scratch. It's like creating a build from scratch. What do is just clone that project, put on packages and modify that package. In this way, neither you have created a code from scratch nor you are dependent on the package UI. You can add your own finishing on that UI on that code. So that's why I really like package based development. One thing I forgot to show you, that in order to import that package here, you have to do Esewa Flutter SDK path uh, packages in same way, Khalti Flutter. I don't think it's same name, but I will do it. And RSA, mm, RSA encryption. Let me see whether it's, yes, it's Flutter. So so that's how I highly recommend to do. So these are the local packages. So these are packages from the PubTip. These are the packages from this folder, and I highly recommend every guy to clone the package from the GitHub and modify them if they don't like the end result, the finishing they are providing. With that, this video comes to an end. Thanks for watching this much video. In next video, I will upload the actual making of what. In next video will be a Flutter video where I will integrate the get payment details API, then I will decrypt those API, do proper state management, then I will integrate the initiate transaction API when user press confirm and do the transaction button. And since the next video will also be Flutter and there is no exploration part, the next video will also be the nicely explained video, not exploration. So that's all for video. I wanted to make it 50 minutes, but it's not impossible. Thanks for watching.